Welcome to episode 27. Today we don't have strict topics for our discussion with you, but we're going to be covering the conference because it was absolutely amazing. Farmer Wants Wife kicks off next week, and what else we say we're going to cover, Gillian?
Well, we've got a bit of some things. It's been a pretty busy, hectic 2 weeks. So I think if we just talk about everywhere we've been and what we've done and seen over those couple of weeks, I think that'll probably flesh out 45 minutes to an hour. But yeah, it's been an action-packed couple of weeks since you heard from us last. So yeah.
Yes, it absolutely has been.
Hi, welcome to Agsolutley Fabulous. My name is Gillian Fennell, also known as Station Mum 101. I love everything about agriculture, especially the people and especially communicating about what makes Australian ag so special.
And I'm Katja Williams, a beef, cattle and cropping farmer, and I love all things ag, and I'm also known as the ultimate farm wife. Together, we are Agsolutley Fabulous, and we are talking all things agriculture beyond the headlines.
And we can't wait to give our opinion to you, and we hope you enjoy it.
So let's get into today's episode.
Gillian, you've been driving across the countryside.
I have. I got on Google Maps to try and figure out how many kilometres that I'd been, like in the whole week, and then it goes, you can add no more stops to this journey. So I'll sit down with a pencil and paper and work it out one of these days. But guess what?
For those watching on the YouTube channel, they are the brand new stickers. For those who are listening on the podcast, we're going to put up an image on our socials. Gillian got our Ag Fab of the Week stickers ready to go.
We got our stickers, and if you know me in real life, spatial awareness and judging the size of things is not my strong point. So they're a lot smaller than I anticipated. But look, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got one on the back of my phone already, and one on the Yeti cup. And my youngest has a sheet of them, so they'll be stuck in various places around the house. So yes, if you have been listening and you were nominated as Ag Fab of the Week, make sure you reach out to us with your postal address so we can send you out, because they're not very large. We'll send you a couple of sheets so you can at least what they lack for in size you can make up for in quantity. So and the next round I'll pay a bit more attention to actual sizes of things and make sure they're a bit bigger. But I'm really pleased with how they turned out. I think they look pretty cool, actually.
So for the conference, Gillian was saying in our last episode that she was going to try and track down the Ag Fab item that she was going to put in the conference bag. Luckily for all of us at the conference, she did, because the brooches, the pins, they looked fantastic and they were absolutely incredible. Lots of fantastic feedback on the Ag Fab pins. We're going to share that to the socials as well, but they come on a little Ag Fab card and they had really incredible sayings. And
so yeah, you're meant to be wearing that on the second day, but it was a hectic week. It was very hectic. But yeah, the post, thanks again to Andrew up at Centre Ag, who went and fetched them from the mail plane and then parcelled them up and put them on the bus. And very much thank you to the ladies at Traveller's Rest who let me retrieve that parcel when it technically wasn't bus parcel time. So yeah, it was a group effort, but we got them all the way to Dubbo. And thanks very much to Jasmine for assembling them in the car on the way over, because we did have like nearly 12 hours in the car on the way across. So she had plenty of time to do that. And yeah, I'm really pleased that people liked them because I thought they were pretty cool.
Wear one for the next recording.
We might. I'll have to adjust my camera and wear an actual proper shirt, not a t-shirt. So I have to put a bit more thought into what I do. But yeah, before I actually jump on camera, because I keep forgetting that this goes on YouTube as well. And usually I'm just like, look like I'm wearing something out of the rag bag. And but if you don't know, straight after the conference, I went and I cut off all my hair.
Look at
So,
that.
Yeah, it was getting too long and I didn't like it, so I've cut it off.
We're going
yes.
for it's not quite a bob. What would you call that?
I don't know. I just said to my lovely little Japanese hairdresser lady, I just showed her a picture and said off, and she went okay, and now I have short hair again. So that's much better for me. I like it better. As long as I can pull it back off my face, I'm happy. So the conference, Katja, are you still riding the high that you should be? Because it was pretty incredible. It was a largely solo effort. Like, I know Ned pitched in a little bit, but it was all you. It was your passion, your dream. So tell me all about it.
I did get a bit teary on day 2 because I sort of thought, what's my next project going to be? And then I quickly reminded myself that I need to enjoy the moment of actually how awesome that was to pull off something that I was so passionate about and really felt like it needed. And the feedback was just absolutely sensational. I think there's always one. There's always got to be one. An advert room of, would we have 53 people? There's going to probably be one. But focusing on the others, I'm pretty sure everyone I spoke to, except for that one person, said they're coming back next year. So February 2026, add it into your diaries now. We're going to be coming back. There were so many incredible speakers and workshop hosts. I wanted to thank them all again here on the podcast because they all donated their time, their skills and their knowledge to be there for the inaugural event, because they also all believe that it is so crucial to focus on the people behind family farming businesses, particularly the women who are the backbone of agriculture, who are usually the unsung heroes. They're usually in the background, and what they do on the farm, both in the house, down the paddock, is really...
And we are under recognized or underappreciated, I guess, sometimes by those we farm with and sometimes with those from those in broader society. But I think that I do have one small thing I'd like to mention, Katja. You gave me the most, what could have potentially been. It turned out to be actually quite lovely. But when you said to me, I've booked you all an Airbnb to stay in, I was slightly horrified because hanging out with other people is not generally my thing. But the other speakers that we were sharing the house with they're the most beautiful, lovely people. And we had a great time, and we've made a heap of new friends, and the accommodation was lovely. And yeah, thank you for organising that. And thank you for the roast chicken dinner. That was lovely.
I showcased my cooking skills on the first night. We did a speaker's dinner on the Sunday night before the conference kicked off. And I was cooking in, someone else's oven. It was an electric oven. I'm not quite used to that. I have a gas one at home or a good old-fashioned wooden Essie stove. So it was great cooking for everyone, getting to know everyone. I think it really, my hope was that we could all come together over the meal and blow away some of the nerves. And then when you turn up for the first day of the conference, you are familiar with others who are there, and really create just a really nice, relaxed night to get us all settled in. And I really think that worked because a lot of us really feel more like very good friends now, even though we've just spent 3 pretty intensive days together. It definitely felt like a lot longer than that, and I think they're friendships that we're definitely going to carry those through the years as well. So we came together as strangers, but we've definitely left really great friends.
Yeah, no, that was a pleasant surprise. I was going to grit my teeth and bear it because I didn't want to give you any more stress or anything, but I wasn't going to make a big deal out of it because I know how much you put into organising everything, and I was very grateful for that. But it turned out to be quite lovely, actually.
And I did book a big enough house for those who are, trying to think of this couple of bedroom little dinky house in, the back.
Yeah.
backstretch of Dubbo, I did make sure there was enough room for everybody.
The house was ridiculously large, to be completely honest. Like, it had 2 lounge rooms, a massive, massive kitchen, which was good because it was, at one point there was quite a lot of us there. 2 bathrooms, stack of bedrooms, yeah. And it was lovely. It was a lovely venue to stay in. So,
Do you know what the biggest giveaway was? That we were all really country.
but we cleaned up after ourselves. I spent half the night looking for the bin. Got lost in the backyard.
When everyone walked into the house, so Alistair, the MC, Alistair Mosey, and myself were there first, but everybody else arrived staggered. And when you walk into the sort of the kitchen area, it opens up into the backyard where you can see the pool, and then it goes on to the golf course. And every single person who walked in going bang bang because there were kangaroos in the golf course.
Oh, I thought you were going to say maybe it's because instead of putting the scraps in the bin, just the bread crusts and the vegetables, we were chucking them over the back fence for the birds and the kangaroos. There were some massive kangaroos out there. Like, people of Dubbo should be really grateful that there's not more rednecks living in those houses, or the golf course would be a very dangerous place to hang out.
Yes. I was surprised at how quiet the kangaroos were, because you're not wrong. They were big. Like, one of them would have been taller than you and I. I mean, not that we're the tallest people in the world.
If you're say from Sydney and you're going to Dubbo for a week or so to take the kids to the zoo and do all the country stuff, you'd be quite intimidated. Well, you should be. If you're not intimidated by a kangaroo that size and you think, I'll just lift my little small child over the fence so they can give it a quick pat, that could quickly turn into something quite tragic.
Yeah, absolutely. Gillian, did you have a favourite session over the 2 days apart from yours?
It was really hard to pick a favourite because I've never been to a regional conference with such a high caliber of speakers. Like, honestly, what I did was I took that speaker, like your booklet, back, and I gave it to the staff at Livestock SA, and I said, anyone that's featured in here will make an excellent speaker for any of our events, because they were so polished, so professional, so knowledgeable. I really liked Melinda's session. That was really valuable. Your session, of course, about knowing your timings and how to set boundaries and those sorts of things around those, to manage your home life, your farm life, your kids' lives, those sorts of things, and how it's important to manage that. Was a really good session too, because some of us, we sort of know these sort of things, but to see it laid out really clearly and to be given that resource that you can actually write stuff down, especially if you're new to this, it can really help you get your thoughts and stuff in order. But it was just, yeah, I couldn't honestly pick a favourite session, to be honest. Even we had Safe Work New South Wales from there. They, to their credit, they answered some very difficult, challenging questions and participated really well in the back and forth and gave some real clarity to people. And so, yeah, it was a really, really good conference.
That's actually something that a lot of people commented on, and for a fairly good sized crowd of around that 50 number, a lot of people said, I've never been to a conference that has had so much open discussion, that has been so helpful with practical implications and actually getting answers for questions. They weren't being passed over. The questions they were asking were being answered.
Yeah, and I think that's not to take away from what your goal was for the conference, but I think when you envisage this sort of thing about it being for the person, not for the farm business, all of the sessions, they empowered those individuals, and that came through in the way they participated in the sessions, because they were there for them, they were there to learn, and they had these experts in front of them, so they were asking them the questions while they had them there, and everyone participated really well. And that was, you don't often see that, especially in large groups of people, so that's something to be really excited about.
Yeah. And on top of all the speakers and workshopees, if you guys wanted to head over to the socials, or even in the show notes, I might link the page, so you can go back and refresh your mind on who was there. But more than that, we met some incredible people, attendees, those who were in the crowd who turned up to participate and have their say. So, Gillian, who was a handful of people you met that you wanted to give a shout out on the podcast today?
Jomaree, from the lady who has sponsored this podcast in the past and designed the breastfeeding work shirts. She is so lovely, but her little fella, Billy, he was my little mate. We sat outside and looked at monkeys and stacked rocks and all this sorts of stuff. And he was such a little charmer throughout the whole conference, and he was so well behaved.
Yeah.
And who else was there? Like, apart from the people who I was sharing a house with, because they're all amazing people.
Yeah.
Especially Hannah. Like, I feel really bad because when I live tweeted Farmer Wants a Wife, she was actually involved in that exact season. And now I know her. Like, I won't say I'm her best friend or anything, but we spent a lot of time together. And she said, I said, I hope I didn't say anything too terrible about you. I don't think I did, because it's not, you don't make it personal when you do things like that. But yeah, and who else was there? Was so many people there, and I can't recall the lady's name, but she had a knee brace on because she'd been knocked over by a cow. She was one of my favorite conference participants as well.
Kate O'Brien.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's going to be in Women's Weekly.
Yes.
How awesome is that? That's incredible. There's so many incredible people in the audience who had amazing stories as well. Like, it was just, there's a really good group of people.
Yes, and Sarah Chapman from Sarah Chapman Coaching. So anyone who is running a rural or remote business, building a self-brand and trying to get their coaching, trying to get their business up and running, she's a great coach to be able to help with that.
The ladies from the what are they called? The administration agency, or?
Yeah, Lou and her team from the administration agency, awesome. They were just awesome. Anything that I needed in a couple of weeks in the lead up to the conference, as well as over the 2 days in the cocktail party, they were there, they were on it. They were making sure that, all the fine details that we had spoken about and organised were executed.
Yep. Yeah. No, it was, everyone there was just, and, even the participants, not that they had to pull their weight or anything, but everyone sort of just helped and everyone was like, it takes a village. So we were rocking prams and chasing kids, and it was just a really lovely sort of environment. So I'm really proud of you, Katja. Like, I know you don't tell grown-ups that you're really proud of them, but I am, because that's an amazing undertaking, and it was such a power of work, and you did it all, and it was just amazing and incredible. You should be super, super proud. Everyone should be proud of you for doing that, because it's so amazing.
Thank you. That's something I should work on, is being able to take positive feedback.
Well, I've been on organising committees and things of many people with paid staff, and we put on good events and stuff like that, but you did this all by yourself. Like, that's incredible. That's amazing.
Looking forward to the next one. There was someone else in the crowd that many of you may know, and that was also Kim Storey. So Kim does the booklets of what a farmer looks like. They are incredible coffee table books filled with wonderful people. Gillian and her family are also featured in them. And she was taking some mini headshots. Is that what you'd call them? Mini headshots?
Yeah, we had little mini photo sessions. So Kim did headshots for us. So we'll have new headshots for the podcast soon, when I load them up into Canva and have a bit of a play around, and see our smiling faces everywhere.
Because it's not often we're in the same place at the same time. So over the last 8 months of recording, we've only been in the same place twice, which has been pretty amazing both times to catch up. So Gillian, that takes us to the mid of our episode, and this part of the episode is sponsored by Farm Table.
So thank you, Farm Table. Farm Table now hosts our podcast page, our landing page. So I will add that in the show notes below for you all to check out. But welcome to Farm Table. Farm Table is a proud independent Australian agricultural knowledge platform, bringing together the most relevant and curated agricultural resources from around the globe. More than that, Farm Table supports industry collaboration, peer-to-peer networking, and functions to build the capacity of individuals and organisations across the entire Australian ag supply chain. With over 3,000 resources, the latest agricultural events, funding opportunities, grants, micro courses and workshops all in one location, Farm Table makes it easier to find the information you need.
Yep.
And Gillian, while you're at the conference, you were waiting for an announcement to be made, and it was actually made on the second day. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was waiting on tenterhooks for the announcement to be made by the South Australian government with regards to further support for our drought-stricken farmers in South Australia. And that's why I left early on the Tuesday, because I was hopeful. Well, I was never going to get back for the announcement because I got a phone call at 8 o'clock in the morning, said they're making the announcement today. I had a thought, because on the Wednesday we had a exclusive screening with Just a Farmer movie, and I'll talk more about that later, about how powerful that event was. So I spent the morning of the second day of the conference in the farm doing in the car doing radio interviews and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we got a fairly good package. So many drought package things. You're not going to please all the people all the time, and government will make decisions that have very little rhyme or reason to the average person, but I'm sure they have their reasons. But I think we can't complain too much about it. We got more funding for infrastructure, like especially drought proofing. Well, you can't drought proof, but more resilience. So water infrastructure, cleaning out dams, those sorts of things. Ongoing social support, investment in mental health services for the bush, stuff that's going to make a long-term difference. So yeah, we were pretty pleased. And still waiting for Peter Malinauskas, the Premier of South Australia, to come and visit some livestock farmers. He likes to spend a lot of time with the croppers. But Pete, if your staff's listening to this, I don't think they will be, but the invitation's still open. You're welcome anytime to come and see people who exclusively farm livestock. I know you saw some mixed operations there close to Adelaide, but we'll take you to meet some livestock producers and cattle producers. They're different, again, from sheep producers generally. We're all a very different breed of people.
I agree. For our urban listeners, Gillian referred to cleaning out dams. So cleaning out dams, when we take the opportunity to do what is called cleaning them out. So in a drought, or when the dams are quite empty or very empty, we will get an excavator in and actually scrape out the dirt. So basically it's not quite redigging the dam, but you're digging back down to the basis to increase capacity, because as your livestock are drinking out of it, or every time the dam fills up, it takes more silt into the dam, and over time you lose capacity of the dam. So when we get into a drought situation, you take the opportunity to clean it out with that excavator and re-increase the dam capacity.
And it also becomes, the more and more silt that builds up in the bottom, instead of going dry and having a nice hard surface where the animals can walk down to water, it becomes a soupy, sloppy mess, and then they'll get bogged more easily. So cleaning them out serves two purposes. It gives you back the original capacity of the dam and can hold more water, so therefore you're more efficient and more resilient. And it also is better and safer and easier for the animals. They can drink that water down almost to the last drop, as opposed to having this yucky, soupy that harbours bacteria and potentially disease, and they get stuck in and die, and it's just disgusting. Yeah, that's why we do that. It's an expensive undertaking, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the rest of my week after the conference, while the conference was running, Ned was running around getting everything sorted and trucked for the Royal Easter Show. So we have a team up there at the moment. And when I got back from getting everything sorted on the day after the conference as well, I made a mistake, and my mistake was that I was too lazy to cook something, so I took my chances on some chicken that was in the fridge, and I ended up with food poisoning. And then my son decided he wasn't going to chew his steak, so we ended up in emergency because he'd choked on his piece of steak. So you've got me sitting there just coming off the back of food poisoning with my son who's just choked on his piece of steak. So we made a good combination for the Wednesday night, Thursday there. But while we were sorting that out and while everything was running up in Sydney, where were you up to, Gillian? You were seeing Just a Farmer.
I was in Adelaide at the exclusive screening of Just a Farm, which raised nearly $15,000 for the Rural Business Support to give grants and to provide free support to farmers in South Australia. And Lila McDougall was there and spoke, and she's just an incredibly beautiful person, just so down to earth and just so passionate about, and it's just what she has done with that film is absolutely incredible. And it's so rare to have a story told about our lives from someone who is like us, who is a farmer and is for us as well. But it's also of a topic, it's a window into our world. So our urban listeners, if you can access it, I think you can stream it off the website or something. I'll have a look to see if you can still do that. Take the opportunity to watch it because it's a pretty accurate depiction of a lot of parts of rural life. And, I must confess, I stepped around watching it for quite some time. This is the first time I've ever seen it, because if you're not in a good place, if you're not feeling very strong in yourself, I wouldn't recommend watching it because it will really, really bring up a lot of things and really sort of can knock you for six. So if you are going to watch it, make sure you have access to support and you have supportive people around you, because if you are struggling in any way, shape or form, it's so gut-wrenchingly powerful that it will affect you. But definitely watch it when you can. I won't tell you to go out and watch it if you're not ready to, but because you need to be prepared, because I cried my eyes out, in the first 30 seconds of the film, there wasn't even any imagery. It was just a young lad talking about how when you're a farmer, you're born to it because your family's born to it and you don't have a choice. And it's more than everything. It's just your whole life. And that's like, yep. And it was just nailed so perfectly. And because it's that experience, that lived experience of that lifestyle. And it was like the whole theatre was crying. Everyone was crying. And although Lila did ask us to stand up and give everyone a hug at the end, and I did not participate in that.
You were touched out.
I was sitting very much by myself down one end of the thing, and I just ignored that little thing. But no, it was, yeah. And we got to get a sneak preview verbally of her next project, which sounds very interesting, and we'll touch on the complexities of the Australian white and Indigenous relationship in the context of a Celtic horse goddess, which sounds a bit, but when you think about the connection that rural Australians and farmers and the Indigenous people have to horses, a lot of us do, I think it's, it's going to be interesting to watch, I think. And so I can't wait to see what that happens, because she's not going to be in the next one, but she is going to direct it. She's a very sensitive storyteller. And uncovers a lot of things and has a way of portraying them so that it's just shown. There's no spin put on it. You're not made feel bad or guilty or anything like that. It's just like, and this happens and this is how it is. And by seeing that and identifying that, I think is quite powerful, by seeing that on the big screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing that one come out as well. I sort of feel like that one might be quite popular as well. Like it'll still hit on some pretty hard topics and still be fairly real. But I think for some people it might also be that one step removed, which will make it maybe a little bit easier or people more ready to watch it.
And it is, and I don't say this lightly, like, because there's not very many films that have affected me like that, but because I think it is so close to the way we live, and we all know people like this. It's like, this is not a very good comparison, but when I watched Wolf Creek, frightened the absolute living shit out of me. One, because a lot of it was filmed in outback South Australia, and I recognised some of the landmarks and stuff. And two, I know weird old roo shooters who live like that out in the bush. Like, it was like really frightening to me, because it wasn't beyond the realms of possibility that sort of stuff could happen in the outback. So, not saying that there are serial killers wandering around in the Australian bush. I hope they're not. But it's that connection to your own life, I think, which makes things really, really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had an incredible time up at the Sydney Royal. Our team is still up there. So we exhibit alongside the Macquarie Anglican Grammar School, as well as 2 junior studs. So we have a junior stud program with the Shorthorns, where we help young kids who are interested in the Shorthorn and stud world establish their studs. And so we had 2 of our youngest stud herds with our breeding cattle go through an exhibit up there alongside us and the school as well. So that was incredible. And one of our bulls, Poledale Unstoppable, exhibited by Jack Taylor from Macquarie Anglican Grammar. They ended up claiming senior Shorthorn champion, as well as the grand champion Shorthorn bull. So very happy with the Sydney Royal results. All of the kids did so well in junior judging and parading and just exhibiting our bulls and heifers while they're up there, and Huey with his cow and calf. They did such a great job.
That's an excellent result. And everyone knows I'm not a fan of Shorthorns, but good breeding. Like that, you go to any Sydney, you go to any show, and the best of any breed, like, you take the skin off them and they're all the same underneath, sort of thing. At the top end of things, they are all just very good animals, because that's how they're meant to be. But yeah, congratulations, Katja and family. That's an excellent outcome. Hopefully there might be a few more blue ribbons before the time the show royal finishes, or is Shorthorn section over now?
Shorthorn section is over now. Interbreeds were today. And I think the top bull ended up being nearly a ton. So we had a few more kilos on ours. But I didn't follow the judging today. The cattle will come back in the next few days, and then all the dairy cattle go through. So the beef cattle leave and the dairy cattle come through.
That's an amazing exercise in logistics, isn't it? Like, to get these ones out, put these ones in, get these ones out, put those, like, yeah. I'm glad I'm not in charge of organising anything for the Sydney Royal Show, because that sounds like a nightmare.
And I'm really glad that, I'm not having to truck our stock or drive the truck as well, because seeing those trucks get up and down the Blue Mountains is just incredible as well. It's a feat in itself.
Oh, I couldn't do it. I'd be like, nah, I think I'll just stay on this side of the Great Dividing Range. We'll only show over here. You fellas can get photos of them or something if you want to see them that badly. Oh, so what else? Is there anything else? What's happening Easter Monday? Dun, dun, dun. Farmer Wants a Wife.
It is Farmer Wants a Wife. So we are going to be watching Farmer Wants a Wife as it goes along. I'm really bad at tuning into it live when it's like actually exhibiting on free to air. So I will be watching it on demand afterwards.
I will try and watch it live and tweet it on our AgFab socials, because I'm really bad at catching up on things afterwards. So I have to do it when it's live, otherwise I probably won't do it. But if you are interested in our takes and our commentary, we will be live tweeting the show, and also we'll be doing a recap on every episode. And you're welcome to join in, but remember, don't pick on individuals and how they look. This is all about when they do their outrageous dates and all that sort of thing. And I've never, Katja, did we talk about this? Has Ned ever like set up the shearing shed with tea lights and almost caused a massive fire, or in an attempt to romance you, or
Not the wool shed. I think we did mention back in one of the episodes he did take me up on the scissor lift when we built the new hay shed. So we did go up on the scissor lift, and he had battery tea candles in the. Sorry, no, they were real tea candles. They were real tea candles in the guttering, and we had a picnic up on the top looking at the lights of Dubbo. Another time he'd set the back of the ute up and we watched the sunset in amongst all the young bulls. We had a picnic. A couple of times we've been down the paddock and done things, but most of the time it's like, hey, do you want to go on a date? And then I sit in the tractor while we load hay or do something like that.
But no, it'll be lots of fun. And I do feel sort of like, now that I've actually met a couple of past contestants from Farmer Wants a Wife, I do feel slightly guilty for bagging them out so much, because they're actually lovely girls. But no, it's all in good fun, and that's how a lot of the contestants go into it too. Like, they don't take it too seriously, they don't take themselves too seriously. So yeah, join us and watch along, and yeah, let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a reminder, everyone, that you can submit your topics, articles, research papers to us either via the email address or via socials. Gillian is in control of our socials. I have a look at the email address.
We have had a suggestion, and I did tell this lady that we would definitely get onto that, but then it completely slipped my mind. So it'll be on next week when I remember and find it. And but we do love to hear what you're thinking, and we do love to dig a bit deeper into topics that interest you. So please let us know, and we're quite happy to do that.
Absolutely. And please do a 5-star review where you are listening to the podcast. It does help others find this channel. It makes it easier to find, easier to see on higher recommendations, and we love reading your reviews. It's a great way to be nominated as the Ag Fab of the Week as well.
And now you will actually definitely get stickers. They won't be very large stickers.
We should do a guessing competition, I reckon, with the birds to see if people can work out which bird is which.
Which one's which? We should, yes. Although my daughter picked it immediately, who was who. So I don't know what she said. She said, "This looks like you." And they're both birds, so I don't know whether to be flattered or insulted. So
flattered, because it means it was a great job.
Yeah, no, our graphic designer did a really good job drawing those up for us. They are lovely. But yeah, so anything else?
I think that's it, and the baby's just woken up, so I will go and
that's the baby alarm has gone off, so it's time for us to sign off now. Thank you for joining us for our random unhinged chat, because Katja's still recovering from putting on the conference, and I'm still recovering from doing untold kilometers in 2 weeks, in amongst some very serious big thinking things. So make sure you send us some topics. Make sure you join in with us when we're talking about Farmer Wants a Wife on the socials. Have a happy Easter, everyone. Stay safe if you're traveling. Yeah, and goodbye. Thank you for joining us.
Happy Easter, everybody. Goodbye.